Antiquity Unveiled, the most marvelous revelations of the 19th century concerning the origin of Christianity. Sir Thomas Bodley. And, do we have a second? We have two Gregorys, so I guess I gotta distinguish the other Gregory when I get to it. Sir Thomas Bodley. Wait. Good evening, sir. I might as well give my name now, so as to be sure of it, for my control may get weak towards the end of this communication. I was known as Sir Thomas Bodley. I was the founder of the Bodleian Library, attached to the Oxford University, at Oxford, England. I much prefer the Sloane Library and the British Museum, but people have their preference. In the 16th century, I collected manuscripts, and particularly those of a very ancient date, and I know that there was a collection deposited therein by me, called the Controversy Against the Council of Nice. It embraced writings of the controversialists previous to and for a century after that council that are known to history. But how far the clergy have tampered with them since, I know not. I say this because in the 16th and 17th centuries, if a priest saw a book or a manuscript that was dangerous to Christianity, he did one of three things: stole it, bought it, or mutilated it. At Cambridge, you will find what is termed the Cambridge manuscript, of which 60 leaves were missing, 10 of which have since been supplied. Supplied by whom, I would like to know. The marginal notes of ancient scribes were damning evidence of the authenticity of the originals from which they copied, and those lynx-eyed priests could not afford to let them come down to posterity. But if the manuscripts of this Nicene library, or copies of them, are now extant, I think you will find them in Robert Watt's Bibliotheca Britannica. Published in 1824, Porcota's volumes as to the finest catalogue in the English language, and a work of vast research. That was the principal object of my coming here tonight. As there are others here to speak, I close and thank you for this opportunity. Now, so one of the things that we find with the Bible itself is that when you get to the Christian section, you see a lot of things written in the margins, and it actually ends up influencing the next versions in so many cases. Adding and subtracting as copy per copy goes on, and sometimes there's other things. Now, as far as Quran manuscripts, you do see things written in margins, but they're like extra prayers and instructions and that sort of thing. It's not it's not contrary. It doesn't give you the different thing. But in the Bible manuscripts, we see our Bibles. We see our Bibles, and our Bibles don't have all these. Well, the Church of Jesus Christ has given it a lot of footnotes and that sort of thing. But you don't learn what you would if they translated the marginal notes in the Bible. It makes connections. I'm not as coherent with that as I would have hoped to have been. Refer to Encyclopaedia Britannica for account of Sir Thomas Bodley. We'll state that the above communication was inspired, no doubt, by the following circumstances, to wit, some weeks after receiving the communication from Apollonius of Tyana, in which reference was made to the Nicene library. While looking up historical matters in reference to other communications, we were surprised to unexpectedly find a mention of a collection of manuscripts formerly known as the Nicene library, which comprised a number of works concerning the action of the Council of Nice, not thinking at the time that anyone would ever think of questioning so well authenticated a fact. We made no note of the matter, and thought no more upon the subject until a writer, who thought he was well informed, publicly denied that such a collection of works ever existed. When we sought to find the reference that was so distinctly impressed upon our memory, to our surprise, we could not lay hands upon it. Failing to find it, we resorted, as we had done many times before, to the guide of the medium for assistance in our search for it. He promised to refer to the matter to the band of spirits who had been using the medium, and the communication was in no doubt result of their action in the premises. In any sense in which the communication was purporting to come from the spirit of Sir Thomas Bodley may be viewed, it would seem to be authentic. It was given immediately after the communication that purported to come from Eusebius Pamphilus, Bishop of Caesarea, and we referred to by the latter as about to be given. Now, one thing that we definitely are going to see here is there's not really much. A lot of the other ones, there's a lot more that could be said to say maybe this isn't the case, but I'm not really calling it the Anti-Nicene Library. I don't know how accurate that would be, but this does seem to be the case. There was, okay, what is the history of the Bible? What's the history of the church? What is the history of, certainly some of the extra biblical text received even stronger of a, they didn't consider them spiritually authoritative, so they could change them a lot more easily. But again, this is something the medium could have looked up. They've had a couple years to do research, and every couple weeks or something they come in and, oh yeah, here's a new story. So it will be seen that the Spirit states that in the 16th century he collected manuscripts, and particularly those of a very ancient date, and that among the manuscripts there was a collection of them deposited by him at the Bodleian Library, called The Controversy Against the Council of Nice, and that collection embraced writings of the controversialist previous to and for a century after that council was held. It was equally significant that the feature of this communication, that the Spirit should so clearly testify to the vandalism of the Christian clergy, Catholic and Protestant, in the 16th and 17th centuries, when fluctuating ascendancy to one or the other Christian faction was from time to time secured. No one knew better than Sir Thomas Bodley, the learned bibliothek and critic, the extent of the destruction and mutilation of all the existing ancient works, whether in manuscripts or in print. We have no doubt that the marginal notes on many an ancient manuscript sealed its doom. As directed by the Spirit, we sought the work of Robert Watt, a work we had never before heard of, and found it to be just what the Spirit said it was, a work of 4 volumes. 4 Q2O? I don't know. Published in 1824 of the Vulgar Era, which is truly the finest catalog in the English language and a work of vast research. We have no doubt that invaluable work is contained there in the mention of all the works ever embraced under the general design of the controversy against the Council of Nice. But as Watt catalogues each work under its specific title, we had nothing to guide us in our search. We have no doubt that this communication is authentic and true. With spiritual community, it's one thing, okay, it just confirms what we know. I would like to see with all spiritual claims of revelation of one sort or another, whatever the source, I want to see something that the medium couldn't have done it. But there's the general points made here, I don't see any reason to doubt them. But I'm not saying to take authority from some random medium.